morning. You're live on Plus TV Africa. My name is Felicity Ezewuike, and of course, it's another Monday morning. We take a look at the headlines making the rounds in our newspaper review. I'm not doing it alone. I have with me Ekene Ezeji, a social commentator. Thank you very much for joining us.
I'm glad I could make it.
I'm glad you're here.
Lots of traffic out there.
Okay, we will traffic. What part of Lagos?
Yeah, just coming into here, you know, the Oniru side. It's really quite tight.
Oh, sorry about that.
I'm surprised, yeah.
It's a Monday morning, so you expect a lot of persons to be on the road.
Yes, maybe that's...
All right, let's take a look at some of the papers we have. We have The Punch, we have This Day, we have The Nation, we have Vanguard, and a bit of sports for you this morning. So we just take a look at them, and then you can go decide which of them you want to read when you visit your vendor. The Punch has a couple of interesting headlines. The first here is PDP NWC meets this week over night National Assembly leadership. That has been an issue for a while now. You also have vote leaders of your choice. ACF tells senators reps-elect. You see it on your screen. You're also looking at sets up interim management team for Oando. A bit of business. There's been a little bit of controversy over that for a while. And then you will see poll panel appoint your replacement, Atiku as Bokachua. You lack capacity to run political party, or Yegu tells Oshomole. That is an interesting commentary. You should go read it. What's going on in the APC? It's not so great at the moment. Let's see what's at the bottom. You have some pictorial reports there as well, if you would like to take a look. There you have it. And of course, we have right underneath those pictures, government assistance not getting to us. Rice farmers cry out, and that's on agriculture for you. Boko Haram troops lament poor allowances. 14-year-old electrocuted while operating Chinese firm's faulty machine. What a sad one. Unizik scandal. Uniben denies issuing embattled lecturer examiner's certificate. What's that about? Well, it's left for you to find out. And analysts here will just share her thoughts on some of these headlines. Which would you want to take your pick at?
Gosh, I'm trying to think. I think the fact that PDP are meeting together, you know, it seems like a bit of strategy going on to decide who, from one account, they say they want to speak with a united voice. From another account, I think one of them has already broken ranks and indicated to one of the candidates that they would prefer them. And then, you know, that was withdrawn and said, you know, we're all going to speak. We're not going to break ranks. There are 44 of us, so we have to speak with one voice. I mean, I guess they can't mandate anyone to vote. They can only direct. But clearly, it's a strategy. If they unite, they're more likely to get someone who's favorable to them. You know, we all remember what happened 4 years ago. I'm sure no one can forget.
Nobody can.
Yeah, so it's very, very interesting how that worked
just to prick your thoughts a bit about the controversy. The night assembly is not yet on sit, but it seems who will be the leader is an issue. What do you make, not just on the PDP part, we also have that of the APC. What do you make of these power tussles?
It's very intriguing. I mean, I guess a popular film comes to mind. The only thing I observed, I guess, from being a woman is that there's only one female character, some Nkiru Ezek, I forget, Nkiru Ezek, someone like that, who is putting herself forward to be speaker. We wonder what her chances are. But otherwise, you sort of seem to have the same recycled people trying, vying, and hoping that they can put themselves in pole position to get the seats. So let's see what
well, if all women come to support her, who knows what her chances will be. But then again, is she a worthy representative?
That's the question that comes to mind. I don't know if we've given up on worthy, because
I hope not.
I watched a debate where they were talking about, you know, the two candidates, whether it was, I forget the name of the candidate who's very popular with the cars, Dino Melaye, and another character, both of them vying, and it was a case of, you know, the devil and the deep blue sea. You know, neither of them were necessarily qualified, but both of them were flamboyant, charismatic, and, you know, politicians really. But so we're really left with the politicians.
Well, we live in an age of social media now, so who knows? Let's see what this one is about. This Day newspaper is up next for review. We have Expectations high over presidential appointment as Buhari returns, set to name principal aides. That's something for you. And then the Oanda issue is captured here again. Atiku protest delay in Bokachchuwa's replacement. That's quite a mouthful for loads of people. Bokachchuwa's replacement. You find details of that story on page 8 of the paper. Let's do a quick flip to see what's on the back of it. Ijoma Wogugu is speaking today. She's talking about what's Nigeria afraid of.
That's interesting.
That's
I can imagine where she's going with that question, but maybe we'll come to that later.
What Nigerians are afraid of. I'm sure it's going to be an interesting read. But first, let's look at this. Expectations high over presidential appointments as Buhari returns.
Yes. I read a bit about the Akwa Ibom slot, as they called it, and it's almost, again, this strategy of putting the best, not the best necessarily, but the person who will favor your cause. So I read that the people of Akwa Ibom, at least those who are favorable to the government on seat, sent a letter to the president saying, don't appoint Akpabio, good luck, because God's will, rather, because he will not favor us. Appoint this other person, I think it was Itang Inyang, appoint him rather than good luck. God's will, sorry, because he wouldn't be. So I think a lot of people are looking at who will be appointed and how their appointment favors them. So there's a lot of strategizing, really, because people are looking for someone who will toe their line, so to speak. So it's not just about who you put there, but what they will do in that position. And that also reflects the story we're seeing more and more in the APC tussle that's coming up. It's a game of strategies, really.
But what do you make of Buhari's, mum lip over who will be on his cabinet?
I think he's played this game before, prior to now when the APC were having their tussle, he kept quiet. I think maybe his strategy is to let the dust settle. Let them push themselves, and then when the dust settles, you peek at it. He seems to maybe be erring on the side of caution in the sense that he has no axe to grind with either of them. He's already the man of the hour. So let the people fight among themselves, and when they're done, we'll pick the one who remains standing. That's the approach.
Do you see him taking so long? Because his recent trip to Saudi Arabia is causing a lot of
controversy.
Uproar. Why immediately after inauguration are you going to an Islamic meeting and all of that? Do you see a delay in him choosing his cabinet and his travel? Does it have any implication?
Again, I hope he doesn't, because people are looking to see him do something different this time around. His trip, in terms of optics, doesn't go well for us. Again, we're looking for indication that he's going to be different this time. And so that, someone suggested, and I tend to agree with that suggestion, that he could have sent someone else in his place, just to indicate to people that I'm for everybody and I'm for nobody, so that people will have that sense of he's representing us. Secondly, I think if he were really to inspire confidence, the best thing he can do now is to hit the ground running. So we're hopeful that within the next couple of weeks, we'll have those names rolling out. I'm
sure a lot of Nigerians share your sentiment with that one too. While there are hardcore critics who would not believe that much is going to change. Let's see what unfolds. All right, we go to the Nation newspaper now. We have a screamer here as well. Lawan Ndume's step-up race for Senate President. I think that's a running thread across the papers this morning. I just spied the Anthony Joshua. We'll get to it in a bit. But let's see what's here. Carlo 58 APC senators unite for Senate leader. That's what's on your screen right now. Very interesting indeed. Excitement as ABUAD over that's over success of first open heart surgery, and that's the Afe Babalola University Multi-System Hospital. You might want to see that first open heart surgery on the front page. That's on your screen right now. The doctors are captured there. Some feet they seem to be very, very proud of. A 5.4 trillion naira debt. AMCON opts for alternative recovery plan. Someone new heads Oanda's interim management team. We didn't get fair hearing. That's something else for you. Let's go to the very top of the paper now to see what's there. You're looking at Kumuyi to Christians. Don't attack Buhari. That story seemed to have trended over the weekend. We also have World Bank $500 million facility for electricity. Details of that story is on page 41 of the paper. Still in front of you, Oyegu. Oshomole lacks capacity to lead. We've touched on that a bit. Follow due process. APC urges Makinde. Let's see what's on the back page of the Nation newspaper now. We have Sam Omasheyi in touch, and today he's talking about the army in us. The president's picture is right there. We all have army in our bodies. All right, which of these headlines would you want to talk about?
Well, I guess, well, let's go to the Khan. Was it Khan? One of the Christian leaders who is... Kumuyi.
To
okay,
Christians,
yes. Deeper
don't
life.
attack Buhari.
Yes. The fact that it's becoming more of a religious polarizing debate now. You know, we had some prophets who came out over the weekend, Odensi, I think, who apparently prophesied that the president will be in power, now telling people to get behind the president. And then you have the Khan on the opposite side saying they're not in favor of his trip to Saudi Arabia. And now you have, so you have a very divided already at the onset, things look already very divided, and you have the religious bodies weighing in. I'm not sure how positive that is, really, because it then makes it seem as if it's about his religious affiliations rather than about the politics of it. So I think right now what people need is to have more transparency on the ground. Let's, like you were indicating, let's have him begin to name his appointees. Let's take our eyes off the things that are less definite and let him begin to name his appointees. Let's see what he's actually doing. That will unite us much more than having all these religious figureheads coming out and making political statements. Okay,
Oshomole lacked capacity to lead. I missed talking about it here. Oyegu, he was a one-time national chairman.
Yes, it's interesting because he once backed, if you look at headlines over a year ago, you find he was backing Oshomole and suddenly he's not backing Oshomole, and you sort of have to ask yourself. They say politics is the game of numbers, but maybe he's also aggravated by the fact that Imo State, the APC of Imo State, seem to have endorsed Oshomole as well as Akwa Ibom as well. So it's almost like now we're really going head-to-head on this one. You have to wonder why suddenly he's being vocal, because he'd kept quiet hitherto, and suddenly now he wants to make his own position felt. One could even conjecture that maybe Oshomole did not toe his line at some point, hence he's having to come out openly. And people are already alleging that he is the one putting sand in Oshomole's garri, so to speak. So really, you have to put it down to the politics of it, because did he not know? He made a statement that Oshomole engages his mouth before he engages his brain. Did he not know that this was the kind of person he endorsed over a year ago? So what has changed, really? I think it's down to whether he's toed his line or not.
All right, that's the Nation newspaper. Let's see what's on Vanguard newspaper now. There seem to be money matters and, of course, the Anthony Joshua situation. We have governors inherit 3.9 trillion naira debts. A couple of riders to that story. Lagos, Imo, Ogun, Bauchi, Oyo, Adamawa, most affected. We also have how NGF has been assisting states to boost their IGR. That's according to the DG. Says it helped states grow revenue from 707.9 billion naira in 2014 to 1.1 trillion naira in 2018. How we can make states viable, stakeholders experts, that's what their thoughts in is right now. And then, of course, we have the picture. Anthony Joshua on the floor as he's being punched by Mexican Andy. That's a picture of it on the front page for you, if you can see it. That's him here. Some people are just reacting in different ways. ASU shelves planned strike, that's on page 13. APC to Governor Makinde, let your actions be guided by Constitution. And of course, the Mr. and Mrs. Kachun is here. Let's look at this one at the very bottom of the paper. Our Constitution laid foundation for Islamization of Nigeria. It should be reviewed. Just what we talked about a moment ago from the Christian Association of Nigeria. Again, the breakthrough open heart surgery by Afe Babalola University. a feat for them. And the Catholic bishops decry rising insecurity in Nigeria. That's another story you will find on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. And of course, we have columnists. You have Henry Boyo, you have Patu Chomi writing on today's Vanguard newspaper. On the back, of course, we have captured Vanguard Sports. But let's see, what's your thoughts? I know you're not much of a sports person.
Funny enough, I am.
Oh, really?
But
So
strictly,
you must have...
strictly tennis.
Yeah, okay. Then you must have some thought
yes,
on
I mean,
what happened
it seems
last
as if
night.
everybody has a stake in this Anthony Joshua loss, because I understand that. Being someone who follows tennis avidly, I understand when someone wins, how you feel as if you have won, and it sort of rallies people around. And so his loss seems to have affected people in more ways than they can actually articulate. So I feel for them, but I can't say I'm a fan of the sport, that specific sport. But yeah, I understand. I understand the sentiment.
But what do you make of the bashing on social media? It seems while they feel like they have a stake, but the social media reaction, we're actually having a conversation about it in the newsroom before we came upstairs for the news, and it was basically like people seem to be putting him under the bus. There seem to be a lot of mimes and stuff like that. What do you make? Is it really nice of a lot of persons seeming to be bashing him on social media?
It's not uncommon, for this to happen. It typically happens in football, but it's not uncommon in sports. Again, I put it down to the fact that you have such a strong stake, in the character that you don't know how to react. You feel as if somehow they've let you down and you want to vent. Unfortunately, I think his dad even got involved at some point. Yeah, I wish we were more sportsmanly about it.
Okay,
but I want to talk about these governors
headline?
inheriting and, how to make our states more viable. Some people have suggested fiscal economy, just changing the way things run and somehow devolving power from the center. Perhaps, again, we keep revisiting this, perhaps this will give people the incentive to find other ways of raising income rather than depending on the state. It's surprising that a state like Lagos that has done so much that is visible has run into debt. That suggests that there's been mismanagement in spite of the wins. But you do have some states that have declared profits. One state claims, I think it's Bauchi, that they have a profit of 11 billion. And so you have to ask, how is it possible that one state is able to put their bank accounts in the credit and other states are severely in the deficit? It really means that the states as they currently are not a viable option. There's something has to be done to tweak that. We can't have this reoccur again.
This open heart surgery seems to be something that most of the papers, even the Nation, has it on the front page. Is this a feat for just the university or a feat for private universities in Nigeria? I
think it's a feat for Nigerians to start off with, and then a feat for private universities. We tend to celebrate, these kind of victories tend to be celebrated more on the part of Nigerians in diaspora. You tend to hear these kind of stories that Nigerians abroad are successfully doing these things. It's very rare to find Nigerians under the conditions we decry having these kind of wins. So I think it's a success. It's a win for Nigeria as a whole, and of course for the universities as well.
I'm taking you up on this one. Catholic bishops decry rising insecurity in Nigeria.
Again, it's back to what I said. Why do these religious figureheads feel the need to wade in? I'm not sure why.
They're stakeholders.
They are, but in the past they weren't as vocal. It just seems that at this point in time, there seem to be more voices from the religious figureheads.
Is it not better late than never?
You could put it that way, but I just feel, I'm not sure if they actually add to. I think they're fueling things. That's the impression I get. I think it's one thing to say to your community at the pulpit. It's another thing to come in a public forum where it's being broadcast to the nation. You just get the sense that we're dealing with almost like a religious divide rather than a political. So in this matter, I think it's best those things are kept separate. Much as I have my own affiliations, it's best they're kept separate so we can actually investigate properly what is being done as regards our security apart from religious affiliations.
I want to say thank you very much, Ekene, for coming on the program this morning.
It's a pleasure, as always.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much. And of course, thank you for watching. It's been Off the Press. We're back again 8:30 a.m. on the DOT tomorrow morning for all the headlines so you can make the right decisions. Thanks for watching again. My name is Felicity Ezewuike.